Hey everybody, I'm Todd and hope you're having a great day. Today I'm going to take a look at the Sennheiser HD650s. Let's do some audio tests and see how they perform. Now, I've had a lot of requests to review the HD650s. I've actually been working with these for over a year. I've got a lot of hours on them. As some of you may know, the HD600 have been my go-to mixing headphone for a long time. Not because they're the best headphone, but because I know their sound profile really well. So I wanted to be sure if the 650 was going to be a worthwhile upgrade for me, if it was something I wanted to do. I'll tell you more about that later in the video. But for now, of course, these headphones are provided by me. They weren't supplied by Sennheiser. This is not a sponsored review, so any opinions here are solely my own based on the set that I have, and of course recordings made through my binaural microphone. Now I encourage you to listen on the best monitoring environment you have, and we'll get right to the audio tests. Now, looking at the logarithmic analysis here for the Sine sweep, we can see a few things. First of all, low frequencies below 100 Hz are rolled off a bit, but there's a slight boost in the 1 to 200 Hz range, which explains the punchiness a lot of people talk about with these headphones. Mids are actually quite consistent all the way through, but the low and mid treble also have some deviations here. So we have a few things that are not 100% lined up. Of course, a Sine sweep is only a Sine sweep. Let's check out music. Now, looking at the logarithmic comparison here for music, on this track there's very little deviation with the mid and low frequencies. We get to the treble, again, that low treble, mid treble, there certainly are peaks and valleys over and under representing some of the frequencies in that range. Nothing, again, that throws the whole balance of the headphones out, not like some that are very sibilant sounding, for example, or very dull sounding. These do sound balanced, but you can hear those frequency deviations. Now, the linear analysis gives you a lot more detail on that, makes it look kind of more than it actually is in perception, at least to my ears. So that's something to just keep in mind with these headphones. And looking at an overlay of the original recording and the recording through the HD650, you can see here again, very minor deviation through the lows and mids. It's not until we get into the treble frequencies where there actually is a significant departure from the original file. The linear analysis is going to give you a whole lot more detail here. And again, though, I would say that while you can hear these frequencies, we're not in a situation where things sound tilted or really grossly over-representing or under-representing anything. So again, these headphones, it's not a wonder they're quite popular for mixing applications where you need to be able to hear that balance across all the frequencies. Now, to provide a visual of any deviation between the recording through the headphones and that from the original file, I've loaded up iZotope's audio lens, and so the purple region is the range of the original file. The white dynamic line is going to be the playback you hear, which is the recording made through the HD650s.
What about the world we both believed in? What about the word that made it so? What about the world we both believed in? What about the word that made it so?
You show me beauty in life. You put me first all the time. No wonder I'm on a high when I'm with you, oh yeah. You show me beauty in life. You put me first all the time. No wonder I'm on a high when I'm with you, oh yeah.
Now, looking at the comparison for male vocal, we can see that the headphones do give a pretty realistic representation of the vocal itself. Hope that came through in the playback also. There is an exception around that 5K range where there's a significant dip, and that can underemphasize sibilance. So if you're using them kind of for de-essing a vocal, you may find that these headphones are fooling you a little bit there. But other than that, the representation is pretty accurate. Same thing when we get to female vocal, again, fairly consistent across the range with some of those sibilant frequencies a bit underrepresented. So just to keep that in mind, if you're using these for mixing and you've got a very sibilant vocalist, make sure you go back and check that you're not underdoing any correction that's necessary based on what these headphones are telling you. And this is a sample of spoken words, so we can compare the sound of the recording directly versus the sound through the headphones. And this is a sample of spoken words, so we can compare the sound of the recording directly versus the sound through the headphones. Now, looking at the comparison here for spoken word, we can see a lot of the same things I pointed out in the vocal section, which is we're pretty consistent up until some of those upper frequencies, especially that 5K range where we're going to hide some sibilance that may be present in the recording. So if you're going to use these for mixing, once you've gone ahead and learned them, there isn't going to be any problem here. You'll be aware of that and you'll adjust accordingly. But if you're just listening to audio with this and you find it sounds a little bit dull, that may be the reason. So again, something to keep in mind here, the linear analysis shows you a little bit more detail, but overall I'd say these are absolutely usable for spoken word. Now, when I think of gaming headphones, the HD650 are certainly not the first thing that comes to mind, but I know a lot of people like to use headphones for mixed applications, so let's check out some game audio. Now, I've been using these headphones for a long-term test, and I have to say that I have spent quite a bit of time trying them for gaming. Again, not my first choice or application. What I'm going to tell you is that the frequencies are well represented here. The transients are very effective. I mean, any kind of shooting, explosions, noises, they certainly jump out at you. One difficulty, though, is Soundstage is pretty close for these headphones. Everything seems kind of in your head, and so if you think about that in terms of the environment, with an open back headphone, I'm expecting a more spacious environment when gaming, but I don't get that with these. And so that's just something that to me is a little bit of a surprise with these from what I was expecting when I first got them. Again, I've been trying these now for over a year, so I've spent quite a bit of time with them. So for gaming, not my number one recommendation. I think you can do a little better if you want an open back, and certainly a closed back is going to give you a little more immersion if you want to go that way. Now, I wanted to talk a bit about Soundstage and Imaging with these headphones. First of all, imaging performance is excellent. You're going to get a very accurate representation of the stereo image based not only on my listening, but on a number of objective measurements that I've done. But when it comes to Soundstage, I actually found them to be far more closed in than I would expect in an open back headphone. And even compared to my 600s, I find pretty much everything is positioned within my head. I don't feel like the Soundstage is expansive. And again, some objective measurements bear that out. But just something to be aware of here, depending on your purpose, Soundstage is going to be more or less important, but for me it was a bit of a surprise from what I expected. Now, we'll take a look at the build quality in these headphones. First of all, I'm going to say generally it is very good. I've been using these for over a year, and again, really they're not breaking down. I don't find any degradation. They have nice soft ear pads. They're comfortable to wear for long sessions. Again, the padding is held up really well on them actually, and the headband as well, so no issues that way. Nice adjustments here, positive lock. They're not going to be sliding around all over the place if you're taking them off, putting them on back and forth all the time, which is important in a studio application. Other things to consider here, the clamping force. It's fairly tight, I would say, on these headphones, and it has remained that way, but it's enough room is available here, so it's not excessive. When you extend these all the way out, or not even all the way out, you're going to have quite a bit of space here for your head. So again, I don't think they're going to be uncomfortable for many users to wear. The cable is really a standout feature on these. It is a nice quality, obviously an upgraded quality, and doesn't kink up. It's kind of soft and supple, yet durable enough. The adapter here, I've had no issues with it. Of course, it's non-repairable. That's normal. You could take it apart and repair it, but really they're intending at some point you just replace the whole cable if you need to. It does come with an adapter to 3.5 millimeter. Forgot to pull it out of the box before I started recording this, so I'll have a picture of it on the screen somewhere for you to see. But overall build quality here is what I would expect for a headphone in this price range, and I found them to hold up really well. Now, as usual, I won't spend a lot of time on features and specifications. I will have a link in the description below for those of you that want all the details. A couple of highlights I'll draw your attention to. They are a 300 ohm headphone, but nonetheless, they're fairly easy to drive. I normally have them connected up to my monitor controller, and it can push them to really good sound levels and no issue with quality either. But I've also tested them with a few interfaces, and again, no problem there. A couple of really key things here, I think, is that they do have matched drivers in each of the ear cups, as well as an impedance ballast cable. And so Sennheiser is trying to do everything they can to give you that integrity and balance between the channels, which of course is going to be important for mixing and mastering applications or any other type of critical listening. So those are some things that I like to see here, and they do really kind of deliver on that promise. There is pretty good equality from one side to the other, again, based on my listening, but also based on a number of objective tests. So overall, Sennheiser is trying to provide a reference class set of specs with the HD650s. But now that I've spent a lot of time with these headphones and I've gone through the audio tests, I'll give you my final thoughts. First of all, I think the HD650 are a very capable headphone. If you want to use them for critical listening applications, I think they absolutely do a good job that way. Soundstage performance was a little bit underwhelming for me, again, even coming from the HD600s. And I will tell you that I'm kind of not planning to move over to the 650s. I don't find that there's enough of a change to make me want to go there instead of keeping on with my HD600s. But again, if you're starting from one or the other, yeah, either way, if you want to buy the 650s and just start there, you're going to be fine. If you're already using a set of 600s, I don't think it's a compelling enough argument to make the switch, to make the upgrade here. Now, some other things I will say about these headphones is they do have slightly better transient response than the 600s. And again, not enough that it's going to make a difference for me. Again, I know the 600s so well, but transient response is very good with these headphones. So if you work with a lot of percussive genres or you like that type of sound, the 650s are probably where I would lean, again, if you were starting out. Now, in terms of the build durability over the year, yeah, I have no issues with these. They hold up really well. I don't think there's any kind of skimping on quality. There's good materials that are used here. Of course, things like the cable, ear pads are replaceable, so there's going to be no issues there over the long term, and I would expect them to last a long time in daily use. And so overall recommendation there is going to be for critical listening. These are a go-to. You can use them, just keeping in mind the limitation with Soundstage. If you want to use them for general listening, they're not really compact, foldable, transportable. They're not meant for that, but they are going to produce a good quality, balanced sound, I would say, for general listening. For gaming performance, I was a little underwhelmed again because I like to feel the environment a little more expansive if I'm using an open back headphone, but they are comfortable to wear for long sessions. As always, I do appreciate you joining me for this review, and I hope it helped you out. If you're looking for other ideas, more options in a reference class headphone, check out one of the videos on the screen. For now, take care, and I'll see you next time.